All right, here we go again. Up the ladder, so to speak, of fault protection. We're at 1910.29. So let's get to it. And this is called Walking Working Surfaces Fault Protection and Fault Protection Systems and Falling Object Protection Criteria and Practices. So this is more of almost a continuation of 28. So general requirements. The employer must ensure each fault protection system and falling object protection, other than personal fault protection systems that this part requires, meets the requirements of this section. The employer must ensure each personal fault protection system meets the requirements in subpart I of this part and provide and install all fault protection systems and falling object protection this subpart requires and comply with the other requirements in this subpart before any employee begins work that necessitates fall or falling object protection. So before you start work, makes sense? Doesn't do any good. Somebody falls and haven't put it in yet. Guardrail systems. Europe must ensure guardrail systems meet the following requirements. This is okay. Top edge height of top rails or equivalent guardrail system members are 42 inches plus or minus 3 inches above the walking working surface. This is a guardrail. 42 inches, that is 3.5 feet, plus or minus 3 inches. Let me give you some leeway there. The top edge height may exceed 45 inches, provided the guardrail system meets all other criteria or paragraph B of this section. So it can be more than that if it is everything else. I don't know why they said plus or minus 3 inches, because it's the key here is if it's a guardrail, you want it high enough that people just don't go trip over. If it's 2 feet high, that's not much of a guardrail, right? You're going to flip right over it, 3 feet high even. So the top edge height may exceed 45 inches if it meets all the other criteria. So, but let's just 42 inches plus or minus 3 inches is what the requirement is. Midrails, screens, mesh, intermediate vertical members, solid panels, or equivalent intermediate members are installed between the walking working surface and the top edge of the guardrail system as follows. When there is not a wall or parapet that is at least 21 inches high. Midrails are installed at a height midway between the top edge of the guardrail system and the walking working surface. So midrail has to be in the midway, halfway, right? Screens and mesh extend from the walking work surface to the top of the rail and along the entire opening between the top rail and supports. So the screen and mesh to keep you from going even between the rails. Intermediate vertical members such as balusters are installed no more than 19 inches apart. So that's the uprights, the balusters. Other equivalent intermediate members such as additional midrails and architectural panels are installed so the openings are not more than 19 inches wide. Guardrail systems are capable of withstanding without failure a force of at least 200 pounds applied in a downward or outward direction within 2 inches of the top edge at any point along the top rail. So in other words, you're able to push out outward direction 200 pounds downward. I don't know, downward wouldn't make a lot of sense. I mean, but outward would be the key. I would think at any point along the top rail, 200 pounds of force. That's important. When the 200-pound test load is applied in a downward direction, the top rail of the guardrail system must not deflect to a height of less than 39 inches above the walking working surfaces. That's where their download comes in. Midrail, screens, mesh, intermediate vertical members, solid panels, and other equivalent intermediate members are capable of withstanding without failure a force of at least 150 pounds applied in any downward or outward direction at any point along the intermediate member. Guardrail systems are smooth surface to protect employees from injury such as punctures or lacerations and to prevent catching or snagging clothing. Makes sense. The ends of top rails and mid rails do not overhang the terminal posts, except where the overhang does not pose a projection hazard for employees. That's why you frequently see them come down and curl around. Steel banding and plastic banding are not used for top rails of mid rails. That makes sense too. Top rails and mid rails are at least 1/4 of an inch in diameter or in thickness. At least. I've never seen one that skinny. When guardrail systems are used at hoist areas, a removable guardrail section consisting of a top rail and mid rail are placed across the access opening between the guardrail sections when employees are not performing hoisting operations. The employer may use chains or gates instead of a removable guardrail section at hoist areas. If the employer demonstrates the use, the chains or gates provide a level of safety equivalent to guardrails. So this is again about hoist areas. When guardrail systems are on holes, they are installed on all unprotected sides or edges of the hole. For guardrail systems used around holes through which material may be passed, when materials are being passed through the hole, no more than two sides of the guardrail system are removed. And when materials are not being passed through the hole must be guarded by a guardrail system along all unprotected sides or edges, or closed over with a cover. When guardrail systems are used around holes that serve as a point of access, such as ladderways, the guardrail system opening has a self-closing gate that slides or swings away from the hole and is equipped with a top rail and mid rail or equivalent intermediate member that meets the requirements in paragraph B of the section, or is offset to prevent an employee from walking or falling into the hole. Guardrail systems on ramps and runways are installed along each unprotected side or edge. Manila or synthetic rope used for top rails or mid rails are inspected as necessary to ensure that the rope continues to meet the strength requirements in paragraph B3 and B5 of this section. And note to paragraph B, the criteria and practices requirements for guardrail systems on scaffolds are contained in 29 CFR Part 1926, subpart L, and that's construction. As you know, Manila or synthetic rope for top rails or mid rails. I've never seen that used. I don't know where that would be used, but there's your thing. There's your 42 inches at the top. You have post, mid rails, and then your working surface. And then the middle picture there, the bottom picture rather, shows your intermediate vertical members, 19-inch distance. Again, the 42 inches at posts. So just a picture of it. Safety net systems. The employer must ensure each safety net system meets the requirements of 29 CFR Part 1926, subpart M. That's construction. So when the employer uses a designated area, the employer must ensure employees remain within the designated area while work operations are underway, and the perimeter of the designated area is delineated with a warning line consisting of a rope, wire, tape, or chain that meets the requirements of paragraph D2 and 3 of this section. There's D2. The employer must ensure each warning line has a minimum breaking strength of 200 pounds, is installed so its lowest point, including sag, is not less than 34 inches and not more than 39 inches above the working surface. Now that's basically 3 feet plus 3 or minus 2. Each warning line is supported in such a manner that pulling on one section of the line will not result in slack being taken up in adjacent sections, causing the line to fall below the limit specified in paragraph D2. That makes sense. And it's clearly visible from a distance of 25 feet away and anywhere within the designated area, is erected as close to the work area as the task permits, and is erected not less than 6 feet from the roof edge for work that is both temporary and infrequent, and or not less than 15 feet for other work. When mobile mechanical equipment is used to perform work that is both temporary and infrequent in a designated area, the employer must ensure the warning line is erected not less than 6 feet from the unprotected side or edge that is parallel to the direction in which the mechanical equipment is operated, and not less than 10 feet for the protected side or edge that is perpendicular to the direction in which the mechanical equipment is operated. The employer must ensure each cover for a hole in a working working surface is capable of supporting without failure at least twice the maximum intended load that may be imposed on the cover at any one time, and is secured to prevent accidental displacement. So I don't know how you figure the maximum intended load. Heaviest person up there, I guess. Handrails and stair rail systems, the employer must ensure the height criteria. Handrails are not less than 30 inches and not more than 38 inches as measured from the leading edge of the stair tread to the top surface of the handrail. See figure D12, which I think we're going to see. The height of stair rail systems meet the following. The height of stair rail systems installed before January 17th, 2017 is not less than 30 inches. The height of the stair rail system installed on or after is not less than 42 inches from the leading edge of the stair tread to the top surface of the top rail. So you need to know that, because if this comes up and you see something you think is not right, you might have to look this up and say, well, that's been there since 1915 or something. And that could be. So the top rail of a stair rail system may serve as a handrail only when the height of the stair rail system is not less than 36 inches and not more than 38 inches as measured at the leading edge of the stair tread, the top surface of the top rail. The top rail of the stair rail system meets the other handrail requirements in paragraph F. So I don't know why it wouldn't be a handrail. Finger clearance. The minimum clearance between hands and the other object is 2.25 inches. That makes sense. You got to get your hand around that railing for it to work. It's a railing. Surfaces, handrails and stair rail systems are smooth surface to protect employees from injuries such as punctures or lacerations, and to prevent catching or snagging of clothing. Openings in stair rails. No opening of a stair rail system exceeds 19 inches at its least dimension. Handhold. Handrails have the shape and dimension necessary so that employees can grasp the handrail firmly. Projection hazards. The ends of handrails and stair rail systems do not present any projection hazards. Strength criteria. Handrails and the top rails of stair rail systems are capable of withstanding, without failure, a force of at least 200 pounds applied in any downward or outward direction within 2 inches of any point along the top edge of the rail. So that's pretty much the same. So there's your handrail measurements from the top of the tread to the top of the handrail there. And there's your measurement for, that's a stair rail. That's that's the handrail there, and that's a stair rail. Oops, I'm going backwards again. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, back to where I was. All right. Cages, wells, and platforms used with fixed ladders. The employer must ensure cages and wells installed on fixed ladders are designed, constructed, and maintained to permit easy access to and egress from the ladder they enclose. Cages and wells are continuous throughout the length of the fixed ladder, except for access, egress, and other transfer points. Cages and wells are designed, constructed, and maintained to contain employees in the event of a fall and direct them to a lower landing. Okay, where are they going to fall? Go up? I don't think so. But platforms used with fixed ladders provide a horizontal surface at least 24 inches by 30 inches. Section 1910.28 establishes the requirements that employers must follow on the use of cages and wells as a means of fall protection. So you can see 28 and 29 kind of going back and forth with each other. I think they got together and worked this out. So that's clearances for fixed ladders in wells. Okay. Outdoor advertising. This paragraph applies only to employees engaged in outdoor advertising, so we're not going to worry about that too much. But employers must ensure that each employee who climbs a fixed ladder without fall protection is physically capable, as demonstrated through observations of actual climbing activities or by physical examination, to perform the duties that may be assigned, including climbing fixed ladders without fall protection. Has successfully completed a training or apprenticeship program that includes hands-on training on the safe climbing of ladders and is retrained as necessary to maintain the necessary skills. Has the skill to climb ladders safely as demonstrated through formal classroom training or on-the-job training and performance observation, and performs climbing duties as part of a routine work activity. So ladder safety systems. The employer must ensure each ladder safety system allows the employee to climb up and down using both hands and does not require the employee continuously hold, push, or pull any part of the system while climbing. The connection between the carrier or lifeline and the point of attachment to the body harness or belt does not exceed 9 inches. Mountings for rigid carriers are attached at each end of the carrier with intermediate mounting spaced as necessary along the entire length of the carrier, so the system has the strength to stop employee falls. Mountings for flexible carriers are attached at each end of the carrier, and cable guides for flexible carriers are installed at least 25 feet apart, but no more than 40 feet apart along the entire length of the carrier. The design and installation of mountings and cable guides does not reduce the design strength of the ladder, and ladder safety systems and their support systems are capable of withstanding without failure a drop test consisting of an 18-inch drop of a 500-pound weight. Personal fall protection systems, body belts, harnesses, and other components used in personal fall risk systems, work positioning systems, and travel restraint systems must meet the requirements of 1910.140. Protection for falling objects. The employers must ensure toe boards used for falling object protection are erected along the exposed edge of the overhead walking work surface for a length that is sufficient to protect employees below. Have a minimum vertical height of 3.5 inches as measured from the top edge of the toe board to the top level of the walking working surface, and do not have more than a 1/4 inch clearance or opening above the walking work surface. So they have to be 3.5 inches high, and they can't be more than a 1/4 inch above the walking working surface. Are solid or do not have any openings that exceed 1 inch at its greatest dimension. Have a minimum height of 2.5 inches when used around vehicle repair, service, or assembly pits. Toe boards may be admitted or omitted around vehicle repair, service, or assembly pits when the employer can demonstrate their toe board will prevent access to a vehicle that is over the pit. They're capable of standing without failure at a force of at least 50 pounds applied in any downward or outward direction at any point along the toe board. The employer must ensure canopies used for falling object protection are strong enough to prevent collapse and prevent penetration by falling objects. Makes sense. What good it would be if the things would fall right through it. The employer must ensure each grab handle is not less than 12 inches long, is mounted to provide at least 3 inches of clearance from the frame or opening, and is capable of withstanding a maximum horizontal pull-out force equal to 2 times the maximum intended load of 200 pounds, whichever is greater. That doesn't sound like very much, 200 pounds. Now over, you may return to your normal life, at least until 1910.30. All right, that's enough of your time, I think. So that's it for now. I'll catch you on 1910.30, I guess.